What's up guys, Jay Martin here. Hope y'all are doing great. As you can tell by the title of the video, today's story time is going to be about a last minute date with this girl that I was sort of interested in, okay? I admit, I found her to be quite the female specimen. For real, but this first date pretty much led me to never going on a second date with her. So this was about a year ago now, back when I was still in college, and we had this. I honestly don't even know what it was called, but we had to set up shop, and it was like a small pop-up store thing in the middle of the mall. And yeah, we had our own stalls, and basically we'd have shifts, and we'd have to do things like present our different types of products, and it was just a wishy-washy event, okay? And we were forced to stay there for hours, told to put on this fake spirit and this fake way of talking and acted like we loved everything about it. And I didn't like it. I didn't want to do it. And so, yeah, I know I forgot. This event lasted for 3 days. So the first 2 days I managed to soldier through, but on the third day, the last day of the event, I remember having my shift and I couldn't remember what time it was, but it had to be around 2 or 3 in the afternoon or so. But I showed up an hour earlier, just after lunch, so I could have some wiggle room to, I don't know, mess around with my friends because they were there too and they'd have their own shifts. But I met one of my buddies, and he was one of those guys that hated the event just as much as I did, right? And the funny thing about him was he'd always tell me like, "Hey, I'll smoke you out one day." And he was just a goofy guy in general. We'd always make plans of smoking up before classes and things of that nature, but it just never happened. Like if I was free, then he wasn't available and vice versa. But this day when I met him was special. So I go meet the guy, and let's just call him Kyle, cause I'm not sure how many times I'm gonna be mentioning his name. So yeah, pretty solid name for a guy. Shout out to all Kyles out there. So yeah, I meet Kyle and say what's up, just the usual thing, and he comes a little closer, all overly excited, and like, bro, what gives? Like, this is like the most boring shit ever. What are you so happy about? And he says what are now famous words to me. Hey bro, I've got pot cookies, and I'm gonna give you one. And of course, now we're just both jolting with excitement. Now, this was a proper cookie, okay, guys? And gosh, it tasted good too. Chocolate chip or something, the size of my hand. So he gave one to me, and we just munched away. But hey, we were smart about this. Now, this was like early in the afternoon, so it wasn't later than 2 o'clock or something. So we said, all right, let's just be conservative here. We don't want to blow our heads off in public. So the gameplay was half on the spot, and then another half once it starts kicking in, just to see how powerful it was. To those that's tried edibles, you'd agree that that would be playing it safe. And to those people that haven't tried them yet and don't know what edibles are like, they're just monstrous, all right? Don't be taking edibles if you haven't tried smoking weed yet. I hear far too many people say something like, "Oh, I'll never smoke weed, but I'd eat a bunch of edibles. Edibles are better than smoking weed. They're less intense and it's a lot safer for you." And anybody that says that, I just respond with like, if that's what you think, don't even try them. Like, that's preposterous. That's just wishful thinking. Like, a good edible, if you've tried a standard one, would blow your head off for minimum, like 4 to 6 hours, minimum. Probably even more than that. Obviously, there's other factors like how much you've eaten, the potency, and all of that. And I've tried shitty ones in the past, but yeah, I'm blabbering here. I tend to do that. I'm sorry. But I remember when my shift started, you know, I didn't want to be involved, so I got a chair and stayed at the far back, at like the back end. And I was like, "Hey, I got it all control over here." And yeah, there was nothing there. Like my mates were in the front talking to actual people, and I was like at the far back of the stall where all the bags were and stuff, right? So during the shift, surely enough, I was just bored. I'm just sitting there, expecting the cookie to unveil its potential. Like, I don't know what to say. I guess the fact that the other half of the cookie was like the only source of entertainment or something. And I couldn't really mess around with my friend that took the other cookie as well because he was at another stall and I was at mine. But not even 30 minutes later, I just went like, you know what? Fuck it. So I just ate it in front of everyone. Now remember, I was at a mall, but they didn't know about it. But yeah, it was like a waiting game from there. But after around another 30 minutes, total of an hour after eating my first half, it was definitely creeping on me. Just the giggliness from the come up stage of eating an edible. So Some time goes by and I don't want to bore you guys with every single detail. I can only remember the highlights of what happened on this day. But one thing's for sure, I was being totally like weird and I don't know how to describe it, that intoxicating and you can't contain yourself emotion. You guys know what I'm talking about. Imagine being in an event and there's nothing fun about it. And I swear, if you were to see me, the first thing you'd think is, that's a weird ass dude. What? Why is he having so much fun? Anyways, so I was still in my shift and I texted Kyle and was like, "Yo, how you doing?" And he replied something like, "Yo, not very good. I'm getting picked up by my mom later and like I can't be seen like this. Do you want to eat the rest of my cookie?" And I was like, "Come on." Like at this point, I was just like, "Yo, I have to go see this guy, see how he looks, see what's up." And when I went up to his booth, he was just sitting there like a person that ate too much at a buffet. Just let that image sit in your head for a second. It was just not looking good for him, and he looked like his head was floating somewhere else, but I'm sure he was enjoying himself. It just looked a little too obvious, just a little bit. Have you guys ever witnessed a friend being too stoned, especially in a public setting? It was pretty funny though, but it was obvious at that point. So, I ate the other half of his cookie, by the way, and yeah, I just ate it. Like, it's not every day you get to be having free cookies, and not the regular kind, but I got him up and was like, alright, fuck this event. Let's leave and, I don't know, enjoy our high. It was like another hour or two before our shift ended, so I didn't think anyone would notice if we walked around the mall, so yeah. Things got better for him after that, thankfully. And we were just fucking around at the mall at this point, going like, huh, sober people. And we ended up bumping into a few of our friends as we walked around because, the event. So the mall was bombarded by students from our college. And when we bumped into them and talked to them, I remember we communicated back in an esoteric way that made their heads go left and right. And it was just so funny. We were laughing hysterically because they didn't know what was going on. But yeah, after that, we went to the arcade, shot some hoops, and played some air hockey. And it was like my whole life was a simulation. It was so good. Still have the pictures of this in my phone to this date. But as we were just having fun and being in the moment, a notification popped on my phone, and it was this girl that I sort of had a crush on. And I was like, wait, what? I've never really hung out with her before. So I was just confused, but cool, I guess. Like, who's gonna complain about that, right? So I messaged back, and she said she was coming over to where we were and that she was gonna check out the event just to see what's going on and say hi. So yeah, we just decided to go back and finish our shifts. Shortly after, we met at my booth, and I was handling myself pretty well at that point. I was all good, not too shaky, but yeah, not bad for a first or second encounter. We hardly ever talked prior to that, so yeah, that was cool. So fast forward to the time my shift actually ends. And by the way, I was as high as you could get at this point, right? The high from the other half of my friend's cookie just compounded. And so in total, I had a whole cookie plus half of a cookie. And yeah, I told some of the people that I was close to that I ate an edible earlier during the shift. And I told another friend of mine because we did the shift together and she was like, all right, cool. At least you're having fun. Good for you. So I left the booth, right? And I left alone. And I remember I was starving and wanted to get some munchies somewhere. Thankfully, I was at a mall, so I had a lot of choices to choose from to get something to eat. And the girl that did the shift with me was off too. So I guess we were both walking together, but we weren't actually like going somewhere together, right? We weren't heading to the same spot. We just happened to be walking side by side with one another. And as we were walking towards an escalator, someone behind me says, "Hey," and taps on my shoulder. And when I looked back, it was my crush. Now she called me without saying my name, so when my crush said, "Hey," the girl that was next to looked back as well. So I was surprised to see her. It was just freaking trippy when someone catches you off guard like that when you're having edibles. But anyways, she says to me, "Hey, what are you up to?" And I told her, nothing much, just gonna get dinner somewhere. What about you?" And she replies, "I was gonna go eat as well. Do you want to have dinner with me?" And I remember this so clearly, and it still annoys me, but I guess it's just really funny now. But I was just like, fuck yeah! Now, I didn't say it like that, but I was like, yes, I'd love to. But mid sentence, as I was saying this, right, the other girl that was next to me thought she was in on our conversation and just cuts me off and says, "I'm getting dinner too. Can I join you guys?" And remember, I was pretty high. So I had to take longer than usual to process how I can express things without coming off the wrong way. I guess that's part of the paranoia that comes with it. So I was just being a bit more compassionate and didn't want to be a dick or anything. Now, after she asked if she could join, I just didn't bother answering her. I thought my silence was enough to give away the hint, right? But my crush says, sure, of course you can join us. And I remember just breaking down mentally, like, bro, let it go. I mean, you're still having dinner with her, like, it's fine. Could be better, but something is better than nothing. So we went to the escalator going up where all the restaurants are at, and I remember just squeezing the handrail like, fuck me, this bitch, ah. I was just frustrated, man. I was bummed out, but yeah, we went to one of the restaurants, and it was awkward. It was pretty awkward, only 'cause I made it. Like, we both knew but didn't want to admit that we just allowed the other girl to tag along. I mean, you could feel it in the energy. And she also realized that I wasn't actually with the girl that was next to, so we could have gotten dinner alone together. But regardless, there was a little bit of a flirt vibe that was going on, but you couldn't really do anything about it. It's almost like a dance, right? And when there's two people dancing, it's great and it gets intimate. But when a third person comes along, it kind of fucks it up. So, yeah, after that, I didn't really feel the need to flirt or anything. So my whole ethos was just about genuinely having a good time. But hey, no complaints. It was great food, and we were at this restaurant that had a specialty in sizzling hot plates. And since I didn't treat it like a date anymore, I didn't care about any pressure to try to look good. So I probably ate like a pig, but I remember sweating profusely when the hot food came. I tend to sweat a lot when I eat hot meals. I don't know. But yeah, guys, nothing super memorable happened from there. There wasn't any second shot that happened after this, although we have tried to hang out a couple times after this day. But nothing really pushed through. We do, however, still bump into each other every once in a while, so shout out to her if she sees this. So that's it for today's story. I really enjoyed speaking about this and talking to you guys. If you appreciate the content and want to see more, consider subscribing and do me a favor, give this video a like. I'd appreciate that a lot, and I hope to see you on the next one. Peace and love.